The killer. It's one of those things that you would sometimes see in slasher movies where you're kind of like, obviously it's scary because it's something that someone, what he's doing is gross, but you're kind of like the focus on him having to logistically figure out how to do it is sometimes a little funny.
Right. Because it's like with Michael Myers. It's like with Michael Myers, they on purposely don't show him set up the bodies and scares that will come later because it just ruins the mystery of it. So I know what you're saying, because watching him struggle and having the focus be on the murderer, like it's like we shouldn't really even care necessarily about how he's going about doing all these things. It should be like you think more about the victims and the mystery at play and whatever, but having the focus on him struggling, like carrying her over his shoulder at one point up these like 16 stairs and stuff, it does seem very stressful. You're kind of like, God damn, man, you're putting in work for this.
Yeah, and that great dolly of him dragging her up the stairs as it dollies back over to the stairs that are going down, and you watch the police come up, and you really like they just farcically missed each other.
Right, exactly.
And then it goes into the part where he takes her to another location and ties her to the chair and continues the interrogation in his kind of like subterranean cobwebby lair with his furnace, where he again presses her face up against it, and you hear the and I love as she screams.
The furnace too, the way it's like glowing red. It's not just like it looks hot. This thing is absolutely just glowing.
Well, yeah, and they even have a shot of like her face being lit up by like the red neon of it and stuff like that.
Oh my god,
horrifying!
It is, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and also the way that he kind of like posed the bodies too when they later find the girl who was killed with the armor. Her body like is like posed with the armor, and they're stacked together, and it's in like perfect lighting. The one guy comes into the frame and is like taking photographs of it like it's like an art show or something.
Yeah, man.
And he ends up bringing in all of the men from the fashion industry, the detective that is, because, he's just like, okay, some psycho sex crazed man is killing these women, even though, they're both trying to like declare alibis for each other. And they're talking about how one of them has a drug habit and one of them is a womanizer and one of them owed money to one of the girls who has been killed. And that would be motive for killing them. There's all kinds of reasons that, because this industry is just one of, sort of sick corruption and impulses between all of these characters that they pretend aren't there. And this sort of hysteria and paranoia that comes from it being anyone. But then there is a murder sequence that takes place while all of them are detained. And I love too that they literally say, and I knew right away what was going to happen because they were like, nothing's going to happen tonight. All the men have been detained. And I'm like, there's like 30 minutes left in this movie.
Something's going to happen.
They definitely, yeah. And they're like, nasty business, nothing to be afraid of. Don't worry about it. Just go home, be alone. Doesn't matter. It's all good. And then I love too that we end up finding out that, like the Countess intentionally, purposely wanted that model to be alone and everything like that. And great wides, obviously, too, of these like beautiful 60s Italian villas and stuff like that. And that one model who drives home and then opens up her trunk and finds that, the burned woman is in her trunk. And it's intended to kind of like frame her so she can't call the police, or she like drags the body into her own place, and she's getting like blood literally on her dress and stuff like that she doesn't want her housekeeper to see, and that's kind of like got a little bit of tension to it. She ends up just hiding the body behind like a divider. There's that great shot too where it like moves in on the divider as the body starts being dragged even further behind it, and that's like someone else is in the house now moving the body, and when she ends up moving the divider, it's actually like standing up now, and the body has been placed and like fallen on her and stuff like that. There's such great focus on like positioning these corpses and this really gruesome murders that are taking place, but again, placing them and maneuvering them like they are little art pieces hanging around the set, which is something that obviously one, Bava is doing as a filmmaker, but also something that these killers are doing because they're fashion designers, which is why, again, I think that the combination of his style really matches what the point of view that these characters are trying to be a part of as well. He turns this entire thing into like his own little dollhouse that's really, really beautiful and really gruesome. And they find out that there was another murder that takes place where he strangles her with the pillow that takes place while all of the men are detained. So then it's like, well, fuck. Yeah. Who could it be? Who could it be?
One of my absolute favorites is when, because you were just talking about how there's like a heightened thing even to the murder and the style, because eventually we do find out that the killers are directly related to the fashion industry. So the one thing that I really enjoyed this one shot was when the killer is trying to get her out of bed, because this is after she hid the body, and what he does is he just plays the harp. And it's just it's just for that instrument to be the cue to like come look at what I've done or whatever. It's just such a classical instrument, a very beautiful instrument. And I really do also love just the shot of her coming out into the hallway, and you see her in the background unfocused, and the strings of the harp are moving, and then it focuses on her in the background again. It's just a really good shot and a really cool kind of mysterious element to that scene. But then also I just love that it's a harp. It's just such a beautiful instrument, and for it to be kind of the calling, like, come see the dead body thing, I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, there's great little like micro style gestures like that too. Like I was talking about the bit where you can see the head sticking out behind the divider in the wide shot, and as it slowly, the camera slowly kind of like dolly pushes in towards the head until it's a close up on the head, and that's when you start to see it get dragged. But one of my favorite details of that is that the lighting setup changes.